In a world addicted to validation, silence has become rebellion. We live in an era where everyone feels the need to explain their choices, their emotions, their boundaries. But the truth is brutal. The more you explain yourself, the less people respect you. When you rush to justify, you hand your power away. You tell the world, "I need you to understand me to feel at peace." But real strength doesn't seek understanding, it commands presence. The people who truly command respect don't beg to be seen. They move in silence and let their actions speak a language that explanations never could. Most people don't over-explain because they care. They do it because they fear being misunderstood. But that fear makes you predictable, and predictability makes you controllable. When others know you'll always explain, they know they can always guilt you, question you, or twist your words. So, here's the paradox. When you stop defending yourself, you stop looking guilty. When you stop chasing approval, people start chasing your validation instead. In the moments when you want to explain yourself the most, that's when you must say the least. Because power doesn't live in words. It lives in calmness, in presence, in the refusal to justify your existence. This is the mindset that separates the respected from the ignored, the untouchable from the desperate. Explaining yourself is an act of submission disguised as civility. Every time you justify your decisions, you signal vulnerability. You tell the world that your actions need permission, that your thoughts require approval, that your presence is negotiable. And in a world built on perception and influence, submission is the fastest route to being controlled. The people who command respect operate differently. They understand that their worth does not depend on being understood or accepted. They act first, speak less, and let results narrate their story. They know that words are cheap, but presence is priceless. When you over-explain, you trade presence for temporary comfort, the fleeting satisfaction of being heard. But influence is not built on comfort. It is built on authority, on the unshakable sense that your energy is yours alone. Over-explaining is also a trap for the emotionally invested. When you explain, you are dragging your mind and your energy into someone else's judgment. You are giving them a leash over your freedom. Every sentence you speak in defense of yourself is a small surrender, a subtle acknowledgement that you care too much about their perception. And the more you care, the more predictable, the more manipulable you become. Respect is commanded through restraint, not repetition. It is earned when others recognize that your silence carries weight, that your boundaries are not up for debate, and that your energy is selective. The person who constantly justifies themselves invites intrusion. The person who speaks only when necessary establishes authority. This is why the most powerful individuals in history rarely explain themselves. Their presence alone communicated intention, confidence, and control. No argument, no justification, no pleading, just the quiet gravity of someone who refuses to be diminished by misunderstanding. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim energy. You stop negotiating with opinions that do not serve you. You stop apologizing for being exactly who you are. And in that space, people begin to pay attention, not to your words, but to your existence. Respect is no longer requested, it becomes unavoidable. Look around, and you'll see it everywhere. The ones who over-explain are often the ones overlooked, dismissed, or manipulated. In the workplace, the employee who justifies every action is rarely trusted with authority. Their explanations reveal anxiety, and anxiety signals weakness. The boss doesn't respect effort, they respect control. The colleague who stops defending themselves suddenly becomes untouchable, commanding attention simply by not begging for understanding. In relationships, over-explaining is a silent form of surrender. The partner who constantly defends their intentions loses value in the eyes of the other. They are predictable, their reactions mapped and exploited. The person who stops explaining becomes an enigma, a force that cannot be predicted or controlled. And unpredictability is magnetic. People are drawn to those who do not bend to demand or expectation, because scarcity breeds desire and silence breeds influence. Even in social interactions, the dynamic is the same. The person who must justify every thought or choice becomes a target for manipulation. The ones who speak less, who let their presence and decisions stand on their own, become the ones who others subconsciously follow. They do not seek approval, yet they command it. Over-explaining is also self-destructive. It drains energy, erodes confidence, and invites unnecessary scrutiny. Every word spent defending yourself is energy stolen from growth, focus, and presence. Meanwhile, those who withhold explanations preserve their strength. They move with intentionality, letting action, not apology, define them. This principle transcends age, culture, and circumstance. History is filled with examples of leaders, warriors, and philosophers who spoke little but influenced much. They understood that explanation is a tool for the insecure, not the powerful. They acted decisively, spoke sparingly, and let results communicate what words could never fully convey. The lesson is clear. In a world that rewards desperation, over-explaining is a liability. To command respect, you must shift the balance, from pleading for understanding to asserting presence. Stop negotiating your worth. Stop dragging yourself into judgment. Stop giving energy to those who neither deserve nor respect it. The world will respond differently, not because you shouted louder, but because you stopped bending. When you internalize this reality, you see the difference between effort and authority. The over-explainer exhausts themselves trying to be seen. The untouchable moves and the world follows. The transformation begins when you stop believing that your worth is validated by others' understanding. To command respect, you must first reclaim your energy. Every time you explain yourself, you give a piece of that energy away. It is not just words, it is power, presence, and authority. Start by recognizing that your intentions do not require external approval. You act for yourself, not for the audience. Next, embrace strategic silence. Silence is not absence, it is armor. When confronted, resist the urge to justify. Speak only when necessary, and let your words carry weight, not volume. A single measured statement is more powerful than 1,000 explanations. Your restraint communicates control. People sense it instinctively and respect it unconsciously. Set unshakable boundaries. When someone questions you or challenges your decisions, do not over-justify. Respond with calm authority or with measured silence. Boundaries signal that your energy is not negotiable. They establish that your presence is not subject to debate and that your decisions are your own. Respect cannot flourish where boundaries are weak. Another key strategy is detachment from perception. Understand that not everyone will understand, approve, or agree, and that's irrelevant. The over-explainer fears judgment because they are attached to perception. The untouchable does not fear judgment because they are aligned with principle and intention. Detachment liberates your mind and preserves your authority. Finally, cultivate action over explanation. Let results speak. When your actions are consistent, effective, and deliberate, they communicate far more than words ever could. People begin to follow, respect, and even fear the quiet strength of someone whose energy cannot be drained by misunderstanding. Commanding respect is not about dominance or aggression. It is about presence, discipline, and energy management. The less you justify, the more powerful you appear. The more you act from principle and silence, the more influence you command. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving leverage to others, and suddenly, respect is no longer requested. It becomes inevitable. This is not a theory. It is a practice. Stop bending. Stop pleading. Stop over-explaining. Protect your energy, speak with purpose, and act with authority. The world will notice, and it will follow. Respect is never earned through words alone. It is commanded through presence. Every explanation you offer chips away at your authority. Every justification signals vulnerability. The moment you stop defending yourself, you reclaim your power. To command respect, you must embrace silence as a tool. Speak less, act deliberately, and let results narrate your story. Boundaries become your armor, detachment becomes your strength, and controlled presence becomes your influence. People will test you. They will question you. But the less you bend, the more they are forced to adjust. Respect cannot be demanded, it must be felt. Over-explaining is a habit of the insecure. Authority is a habit of the untouchable. Stop chasing approval, stop negotiating your worth, and stop giving your energy to judgment. Stand firm, act decisively, and speak only when it serves purpose. When you stop explaining, you stop being a target. You stop being manipulated. You stop being drained. You start being respected. And in that silence, in that controlled presence, the world bends, not to your words, but to your authority. Stop explaining. Start commanding. And watch as respect becomes unavoidable.